On today's show, we're going to update our Gutsy Calls, see where we're at. It's been a savage week for some of them. We're going to go through our event planning. What are we doing for our second event, the one that's not the Super Bowl party? We've got a week to preview. Why are you looking at me like that, Dos? Have you not prepared for that?
Well, I don't know when the timing of it was.
What do you mean?
Well, our first event, I just thought we were doing a Super Bowl event.
Yeah, and then we've got another one.
Is that post Super Bowl?
That'll be pre. I mean,
Is this event anywhere?
Yeah, well, it'll be at the Suburban Brew.
Okay.
Why's that?
No, I'm fine. I was just, one of my events involves eating and drinking, and I
That's
wasn't
fine.
sure they can cook whatever we want.
Yeah, they're a great place. Well, I mean, now that you've made this a sponsor segment, let's
ask
also
them.
mention the Stubby Club because we did a lot of MVP talk on Tuesday. So we've got the Stubby Club MVP award, and we've got the Suburban Brew tap rooms in Glendon Goodwood. They're supporting us.
Hall painting and
Home
building.
of the Outback Quarterback podcast.
Hall painting and building.
No,
arena?
they've not given us a
Right.
cent this year.
But if you do want your house painted, let me know.
Don't let them know.
Oh, wow,
In
thanks.
fact,
Just ruined my business.
send all inquiries to podcast@outbackqb.com. I'll ensure they get through. We're also, what else are we doing? Boys, we've gone into the weeds. And this is meant to be like a 10-second little intro here. That's about it. Oh no, Doss's Dimes.
Oh, yeah.
What a show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Outback Quarterback podcast for a Thursday show. We're doing a double banger each week now, Tuesdays and Thursdays, plus the Outback QB Daily. But this is the main show. I've got Dos here, I've got Hawley here, and I've got myself, Curt, here. What a joy it is to be in Muscle Cat Studios. Look, same kits as Tuesday. Weird?
Yeah, feeling fresh as well.
Yeah, feeling fresh? You have your...
Not
'cause you
weary
were a
after
bit-
being up for about 13 hours.
You were a bit tired
well,
on the Tuesday show, Hawley. I hope it's improved.
I've been up all morning, all day watching the footy, so I had a good sleep last night.
Oh, that's good. So you've slept well the last two nights since
No,
the
last
Tuesday
two
show.
nights
Yeah,
slept very
good,
well. Yeah.
good. Same show.
And how
though.
about those Jets, eh? What a win. And Garrett and Brees, 100 each.
Let's pull back that curtain. We haven't watched that yet because it hasn't happened yet. We do the Thursday show on a Tuesday, but you knew that. No, we do it on a Monday. But everyone listening knew that because they're loyal fans that have listened right from the start, so they're used to our little time tricks. But we've got a fair bit to talk through, boys. Let's start with some event planning because our good friends at the Suburban Brew, tap rooms in Glend and Goodwood, which many of our listeners will discover when we do our Super Bowl show. Whenever the Super Bowl is, February something. I haven't even looked at the date, but just lock it in. Lock it into your calendars. Glend, South Australia. If you're interstate, we will not fly you in. I just need to clarify
Free
that
beer?
confusion. Oh, mate.
Free beer.
I don't know yet.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
I don't know.
I think it'll be the 10th, Curtis.
the 10th?
February.
I don't think it's... I'll have to check it with Tony and the guys.
I'd be pretty surprised.
Yeah.
We maybe edit this bit out just in case.
Nah,
keep
we'll
it
figure it out. I love having open dialogue with our listeners, all right? Any other requests, send it through to podcast@outbackqb.com. I've got, 4 months to negotiate the best possible deal. But it will be a great day. There'll be entertainment everywhere. You're going to ask me something else.
Yeah.
Go on.
What's the rule on drinking and hosting?
You haven't signed our Muscle Cat Media Code of Conduct.
No, I
yet, have you?
refuse to sign it unless it says I can drink and podcast at the same time.
You do that normally, don't you?
I usually do. It's just not alcohol. But tonight there's no sparkling water in the fridge, Dos.
Yeah,
so.
sorry about that. 2 days later, he's still yabbering on about that sparkling water. Still thirsty.
We had 2 days.
You've had 48 hours.
You had 2 days to get one.
You've had 48 hours to have a drink. But anyway, we know the Super Bowl party's going ahead, and that's going to be a cracking day. But, boys, I've asked you to come to the table. It's basically a business meeting. A couple of other ideas. What else could we do? I mean, I'll kick it off.
Too busy during the day to come up with his own ideas, Dos.
Well, I've got two here, and it's relevant that you keep chipping me because I proposed the roast of Chris Hall.
A roast of Chris Hall?
Yeah.
No. That'd be pretty bad.
The roast of Hawley.
There could be some bad things that come out of that.
That's kind of the point.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, but I'm not famous enough and rich enough to just cop it.
I reckon we could get 5 guys up there and get stuck into you for an hour.
I think you probably could. Yeah.
You've got 2 sitting right here. I was inspired, Dos. I watched the Michael Scott roast episode of The Office last week, and I just thought, I'd love to see Hawley squirming in that chair. Confident to begin with, and just an emotional
But
mess by
I
the
don't
end of
think
it.
he would be confident to begin with.
Yeah, I actually, I mean,
Again, how drunk can I get?
Oh, well then.
well, I mean,
And it depends who's invited.
Okay,
I probably
maybe,
wouldn't want an immediate family there.
maybe we'll. I'm not actually
anyone that
suggesting a
knows
roast
me.
of Chris. Do you think I'm seriously trying to get this over the line?
Well,
Now that I've seen his reaction,
Could
I
you
might try a little
imagine
harder.
if we put that on our socials? Who would want to be up on the dais with Chris Hall?
Well, I've got a couple of
listeners?
names. I put Pat from Paynham if he exists.
I keep hitting this thing. If Pat from Paynham,
if he shows up.
I'll happily be part of the roast if Pat from Paynham.
I've also got Quags, the warm-up guy. So I think he can get stuck in here. And then Doss is the main event. Because I think you got 25 years of little frustrations you could bring out with Hawley.
Nugget would probably be the one that
Nugget,
knows
see?
all my deepest and darkest secrets.
All right, get him on. Okay.
Flash.
What's your idea then?
I
first
was actually Doss's quiz night.
Doss's quiz night. Yeah,
we
well,
can
look,
hold a proper quiz night.
whilst we're being... This is a serious
Serious?
one. You can see on the board there, under Goodwood, I've put
Yes.
trivia night.
Ah,
now,
there
I
we
do
go.
actually think an NFL trivia night is the clubhouse leader for serious suggestions. I thought we would be a little more jocular with this. Don't worry, Doss, it's not all on you, mate. All right, I'll pay you a fee if you need one.
Baby, prepping for a whole night of trivia.
Well, obviously, I
you
wouldn't
do it.
make you do it all, would I? I mean,
I'd love to be part of that.
yeah?
Yeah,
Well, I
that'd
hope
be
I'd
good
be
fun.
part
All right, that's clubhouse leader. Have you got a serious or a stupid suggestion, Doss?
No.
Doesn't have
Well,
any
I'll-
suggestions.
No, I was.
No,
I was
that's
think-
filler from
You're
Doss.
not good at these.
No, I was thinking of a. I was thinking of a Thanksgiving style of one.
You know, I did think
Have
of
you got that
Thanksgiving. What
written
would
down?
we do?
Have you got that written
Yeah,
down?
have you got it written down? He
No, he doesn't have it written down. He's just coming up on the spot.
I have spent
Got
so
you,
long
Doss.
today prepping trivia dimes, and
And
I
you
was
had
just
trivia.
like,
Yeah, you had trivia.
and I was like, you know
dimes.
what, I'm winging this one. This is a Kurt's idea.
Welcome-
man.
And you've done a good job because nobody could tell.
Welcome to my world, Doss.
And
Did I give you too much to prepare, Doss?
it was a bit.
There was a
today.
lot to prepare.
But see,
for
Doss, it's hard to know because sometimes I feel like you get upset when I don't give you enough.
No, I
and
don't
then
get
sometimes
upset.
I think you do.
Nah.
Well, you
It was
messaged
the-
us
it was-
today
it
saying that
was-
you wanted more games.
It
and you
was the
disappointed in
Sunday
more.
run sheet probably hurt him.
Well, yeah.
Because
I did
he's
apologise
a
for that.
weekend prepper.
There's
Yeah.
a sweet spot. Don't you agree though? With sweet spot for Doss, I can't give him too much or too little. And there's a
Earlier run sheet because I would have done few of these then over the weekend.
all right. See, I like this. This is a real business meeting now. We're
Now it
actually
is.
discussing improvements to the show.
Now we're raising
Any more
Off-
concerns, boys?
offline efficiency gains that we can make as
Now,
a business for
my
Muscle
back-
Cat Media.
My back feels a little better in this chair.
Does it?
It's
Oh,
the
can
same
we get
chair,
some
but
chairs?
it's not too bad.
Yeah. Is that yours is particularly creaky today.
Have you noticed? I'm
Yeah.
moving around because it's not.
Maybe
super
some better
comfortable.
mics because I keep hitting it.
Better hosts.
Better hosts.
All right.
Anyway,
Well, I
any
thought
more?
of a
I've got-
Thanksgiving one or a Halloween one, but
It's quite seriously. I
Halloween
did think
would be,
Thanksgiving. Oh, go on.
but that's more just general American.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Thanksgiving.
NFL based.
would
Thanksgiving
be-
would be a good one.
This is maybe
Well,
a
that
silly
could
I
question.
mean, a Christmas party would be cool, especially because you start getting a few games when people are
Yeah.
on holidays, and
yeah.
you start seeing a few.
Random,
You
like a
know,
Saturday
random
game.
playoff game, not playoff games, random games in certain weird times
Yeah.
around that holiday
like that.
period.
We could
Because
do that.
it is tough if we want to do something while the game is on because it's a Monday morning.
Yeah, so Super Bowl obviously when the game's on, but this can be a Friday night or a Saturday night, or
Yeah, or
you know,
Saturday. Yeah, whenever
or a
it is.
Friday night
Well, the Thanksgiving.
sleepover into the Saturday.
Okay, I'm keen. The Thanksgiving could roll into my other suggestion.
Oh, go on.
Which was more of a general get to know you barbecue, but American style. We drink Bud or Coors and we eat wings. You know,
I like
full American.
Well, let me just say we won't be drinking Bud or Coors because we'll be drinking the great beer
Well, that's why I
that the
asked.
Suburban Tap Room make on site.
That's
So,
why I was asking about what we were allowed to drink and eat at
yeah.
the pub.
Okay,
If it
well,
was
just
located
park
at
the brands,
pub.
but definitely beer. And we'll have.
Kind of defeats the purpose if it's not American. doesn't it?
Well, it's American enough. We're having wings and we can have food.
Wings, sliders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Philly
absolutely.
cheesesteaks.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm keen. I'm keen.
We know my other idea was a listener combine. Get 200 of our listeners down there and put them through all the tests.
Even just a
but we could have a
40-yard
40-yard dash.
Yeah.
We could have a 40. If it's a Christmas thing or a Thanksgiving thing, we could have a 40
and
yard.
And
Well,
have the barbecue.
Well, and then we can
Love it. And a barbecue.
throw the ball
And then
through
we'll
the
roast
target.
you at the end.
Okay,
Yeah.
and a roast.
Throw the ball through the target,
Yes.
which I think this is a few tailgate suggestions that we had previously. Because Quag canned me for my very relaxed sort of technique throw offline that he caught in the reflection
That
of a
was
video.
stiff. Caught in the reflection of the window in
Yeah,
the studio.
Hawley's just like, I'll throw me
he
the
did.
ball, and I was just like, oh, whatever.
was like-
And then Quag's into me. Not only has he sent it to the Outback, he's then DM'd me on my own personal one and
Just in
chopped
case you
into
didn't
me
see
about
it.
my technique. So,
Even though Dos is replying on the FAQV.
yeah, I don't know.
wants a lot of avenues of feedback, Quag, doesn't he?
He probably sent an email as well.
I'd have to
saying-
check that.
I
yeah.
emailed him first because he's picked up J.K. Dobbins in one of our fantasy leagues.
Yep.
And I emailed him first. I texted him first about it today.
Well done, Quag.
He's usually...
Well, we'll see Quag there. Quag will be there.
Oh, Quag
Anyone
will
who
be
wants to
there.
meet
Sorry,
the
Dos.
man.
Thanks for
I just
kicking
kicked
me in
Dos.
the shins under the table as well.
You're just spasming all over the place.
Yeah, you're very active.
Anyway, they have good ideas. I thought this would be a stupider segment, but you've actually given us some good stuff.
Oh,
so
you
let's
started off a bit stupid, but we...
NFL
brought it back.
trivia.
just like to bring the levity. Sorry?
NFL trivia would be
I
cool.
like the trivia idea.
Maybe we should combine them all. We've got some trivia.
Wear your
We'll have a
jersey.
40-yard dash. We'll have
Prizes?
Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Halloween combined, all rolled into one. Leave it with us, listeners. We'll come back and then we'll sell you some tickets. Game previews, boys. Now let's whiz through this. We like to do this in a really sort of condensed, rapid fire style. Just a couple of things about each game. Now, Dos,
TNF.
TNF. Yeah. Is that Bills Dolphins?
It is.
It is Bills
Down
Dolphins.
in
Now,
Miami.
just a quick note. I'll preview the Jets and the Titans and the MNF and the there's another game. Oh, 49ers and Vikings on the Daily Show. So they'll be previewed elsewhere just because of the timing issues with recording this on a Monday.
Jets
but
and Titans.
yeah, because the Jets haven't played their game yet.
Oh, okay.
The 49ers haven't played their game and MNF is too late. So.
Yes, understood. Gotcha.
All right. That's another thing we should have discussed during the business meeting. Bills and Dolphins, both 1-0. Dos, take it away.
Yeah, it'd be hot and humid down in Miami, Curt.
Oh.
But Josh Allen, awesome start to the season. We saw the spread across his receivers, his run game, his passing game was on. And he always plays well against Miami. The Bills have won 11 of the last 12 against the
good record.
Dolphins. So obviously won both games last season, that winning in for the to get into the playoff or win the division and get into the playoffs. And then the Dolphins last week against the Jags, a little sluggish. Took a while to get going, and it was really on the back of the Travis Etienne fumble that sort of sparked the Miami offense because they looked a bit sort of sluggish in the first half, I thought. It wasn't certainly the Miami that we would have expected in week one. And
No.
certainly helped by the Jags errors and some pretty ordinary play calling by Doug Peterson on offense. Really went into their shell, the Jags, and that allowed the Miami team to capitalize on the pass game because their run game, the Miami run game last week was virtually
Now,
non-existent.
Dos, we'll get to that. I don't really want to talk about it because I got a lot riding on that run game scoring a lot of touchdowns.
Well, I'm just telling you.
I know.
That's
But-
right.
Sorry.
They're breaking the record this year, aren't they?
The reason I chuckled before is because you mentioned bad play calling, and I'm surprised we didn't get any of you teeing off on bad play calling on the Tuesday show. That's normally your wheelhouse. And every week I wait for who's going to be in Doss's gun for the play calling.
Well, we did
stuff.
talk about Arizona throwing it to Greg Dortch for their
Yeah, I think I
game-winning
brought that
play.
up though, but I was just waiting for Doss, so I'm glad. I'm glad you brought up some play calling.
Well, I've been a bit critical. I've been a bit critical on Doug in the off season because I didn't like how they ended last season. So that was bad. So
All right.
yeah, that should be. I'm looking forward to this game though. But, short turnaround, but yeah, hot and humid down there in Miami, 100 degrees, fellas.
TNF, two good matchups to start the year, at least for you, Doss. Seahawks 1-0 at Patriots 1-0. Christopher Hall.
Oh, yes, up here. Well, all of a sudden, boys, things are looking up for the Pats. We won a game.
100%.
And we are hosting somewhat of a vulnerable Seahawks team.
Yes.
Vulnerable.
Yes, I'll call it vulnerable. They created 3
How are they
turnovers.
vulnerable?
Because I said so. You know what? I need to feel confident about it.
I just went along with it. I'm caught up in the wave.
And when you went along with it, I was like, oh, I was right.
vulnerable 1-0.
The Seahawks.
Oh, yeah,
Dos.
they won.
They won. They beat Denver and stopped
Yeah,
their defense.
just.
Oh, well, their defense played pretty well.
They created 3 turnovers against the Broncos last week, but giving up 2 themselves. And I think this game will again come down to that statistic. The Pats are coming off a surprising victory against what is supposed to be a Super Bowl favourite. They held a top-tier QB TD-less, allowing only 224 total yards and 10 points. Jacoby Brissett didn't show a hell of a lot, but our boy Ramondre did. The Seahawks allowed 99 yards on the ground last week. So if the Pats can get Ramondre moving pretty well, can top the 100-yard rush mark and win the turnover battle, then I think it will make it very difficult for Geno's men to win this one.
I think the Seahawks win.
I think so too.
I think they
But hey,
probably win.
But
But
go
I
Pats.
think if
I want to see him win.
that
What's
Pats
that?
run game can dominate again and Ramondre can go over 100, Jacoby has a little 30 or 40, then they're well on their way to winning that game.
There's always a team every year that we predict for doom and gloom, they turn out all right. And it's probably not going to be the Pats, but it could be. So if they
Well, what did we say? There's always one team that goes from fourth to first.
Yep. In the division, yes.
Yeah, that could be the Pats.
all right. Well, speaking of teams that
Do you
need
think?
to
Bills, Dolphins, Jets.
win, I don't think so. Giants at Commanders, both 0-1. And boys, I hope you are noticing the games that I'm giving myself this week, just to show you I'm a
Giants
leader
and
who
commies.
cares. The commies. Tries to be Seinfeld. That
Yeah.
guy's a commie. It's a big game for both of them. NFC East. The Giants were unfortunately woeful last week, and they desperately need something from DJ. But not only that, they need something else from their other quote-unquote stars, such as Kayvon Thibodeau, who had a shocking week one, which I wasn't
You're very
disappointed
quick to jump on,
about. Very
Kayvon.
quick. He was quietly benched.
It was. Brian Burns
quietly
didn't do anything. The Giants' defense is meant to be their stronger side of the ball, and they
was
were
not a good day.
ordinary, picked apart by Sam Darnold.
Well, it's not hard to be a stronger side of the ball than the offense, is it?
Dexter wasn't terrible.
Well,
Dexter Lawrence wasn't terrible. He was okay. He actually did something. But yeah, Kayvon didn't. Brian Burns, we need to see a game from him. But Malik Neighbors showed a bit, at least 6 receptions, 55 yards, which in the game that Daniel Jones played, that's quite a big contribution from Neighbors. He had a bit of an interesting post-game interview, Dost. Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
In the rooms, he was asked, and the reporters just like pouncing on a first gamer. Oh, did you feel that you weren't targeted as much as you should have been when you were open today by Daniel Jones, a couple of opportunities? And then he was sort of flustered and said, I don't really know what's going on back there. I'm just sort of doing my own thing. I think he was just trying to say,
Yeah,
I'm
worried
not
about
aware
myself.
of it.
Yeah.
But the way he said it sounded like, I don't know what's going on. So the headline is, Malik Neighbors says,
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
what's going on with Daniel Jones.
Whereas he's just saying, look, mate, I was just trying to focus on my role and play my role in my first ever game of football.
I think and hope so. But
Yeah.
just watch it because it could go either way. It wasn't the best response from the way that he answered it either. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, but it did seem a little rifty already. Just a
bit
little
like
bit.
old mate Sanders at Colorado. Comes
Oh,
out and blames his
Shadua.
O-line.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, pretty well said, well, the other quarterback didn't get touched and we can't run the ball, so what do you expect me to do?
Come on, Shads. You got to put up with a bit of adversity, mate, if you're going to make it in the NFL.
He's the next Caleb.
If he, in case he hasn't noticed, there's not much of a. It's quite a steep learning curve at the NFL. The ease in which you have college doesn't generally translate. So
And he's
Shadua-
losing in college, so there you go.
Well, there you go. As for the Commanders, boys, their defense was cleaned out by Baker Mayfield and Co. on the weekend, and they need to tighten up in a winnable game. Emmanuel Forbes committed some errors again. Shock horror. He continued to disappoint me.
Your first round pick.
The Giants should tighten up, though. I mean, plenty of chances. Sorry, no. The Giants should do Jayden Daniels a favour with plenty of chances to create some chemistry, is what I was trying to say, with Terry McLaurin.
That's so mean.
Well, they should.
They should.
It's
yeah.
the truth.
It's,
I mean, this is a chance to...
it's like a bye week, get some form back on.
He ran it beautifully last week. He didn't throw any touchdowns. We know that. We want
Didn't have a
Terry and him to
turnover, though.
get some juice. Hey?
He didn't have a turnover, though.
No, I know. I'm not bagging his game. I'm just saying this is an easier chance for him to try and get something
Yeah,
going.
agreed.
So Commanders, Giants. Anyway, I took far longer on that than I intended. Colts 0-1, Packers 0-1. In Green Bay, Doss need a win with Malik.
They do. And
And at this stage, we think it's Malik.
yeah, well, we do. Unless, I can't see it changing. Well, if I get surprised by Ryan Tannehill, then
Yeah,
I'll be a little bit more bullish. But the Packers, I think, will look to run the ball. Well, obviously with Malik in, I think they would have looked to run the ball pretty well anyway, given the fact of how the Colts fared against the run game versus the Texans. They let up 5.3 yards per carry. So expect a lot of Josh Jacobs. And he found some gaps in the second half against the Eagles. He started to come in. First half was very sluggish, especially in the red zone. He really struggled to get anything going. Some sweeps with Jaden Reed and those screen passes utilizing the Packers tight ends with Malik. We're just out to the side. Malik, just a couple... Just some nice, easy throws, Malik, and let your receivers do the rest.
But those little flats are not so easy necessarily, Doss, because Daniel Jones tried that and had a pick.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you noticed, but Jayden Daniels tried that with his very first pass in the NFL, threw it backwards, and they lost 13 yards because it went out of bounds.
If you're not a capable quarterback, little flats lead to pick sixes,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I know. This is what makes me nervous. And the offense last week made a lot of mistakes, a lot of silly penalties, illegal shifts and holds.
Yeah,
and
that
all
was
sorts.
sloppy.
12 man on the field on the touchdown that got negated, taken away. So
12 for both teams, though, which was
which is
Still
you
can't do it.
don't see that very often actually.
Just let him play it out.
still a rule.
I was kind of hoping that it was going to be called that. 12 on the negate, play stands, touchdown. Didn't happen. Change the rules as we go. And then Anthony Richardson threw the deep ball. He'll look to do that again this week. Only completed the 9 passes, as I mentioned the other day, which you want to start getting that completion rate up. But he's going to test the Green Bay secondary. You know, they began to struggle a bit against A.J. Brown late in the game, and Devonta Smith, though, you know, they started to get open. And we saw what Saquon did in the second half, especially able to get free and create some holes. So I would expect that Jonathan Taylor and the Colts will look to try and utilize him the same way. So I'm hoping the Packers can get a win at home, but I'm not confident.
Yeah. This is a tough matchup in their circumstance now.
It's big for the Colts too.
Big for the Colts, you're right.
If the Colts sort of fall to 0-2 and it's a competitive loss against Houston, if they fall to Green Bay with a backup QB,
spot on,
then it's sort of like, well, what are Indy offering at the moment? So anyway.
Now at Hawley, Sunday Night Football, 2 teams with a winning record, the Bears and the Texans. Both won. The Bears. Now, what do you foresee?
I foresee that
Caleb throwing 1 million picks.
Caleb didn't look great last week. Actually, he looked really bad.
I think we can agree he looks slightly less than solid. Is that where we're landing?
I'm happy to go slightly less than solid. Because there were other quarterbacks that, like,
Game 1.
Brissett.
So it's below
Jacoby
average.
was solid.
Yeah, but
And
Jacoby's been in the league for 10 years.
Yeah, but he was still better than Caleb.
Yeah, agreed.
So Caleb wasn't solid.
Keep going.
10-year veteran journeyman versus
One
guy in
game.
his first
They're
start.
playing in the same league, mate. Caleb didn't look great. Actually, he looked less than solid. The Bears' defense, though, looked great.
Less than solid, the Caleb Williams story.
Or
That's going to
better than solid. And CJ threw 2 picks last week, albeit they didn't count.
Well, because they're penalties.
Exactly. He still threw 2 picks, just didn't count. That's why I wrote they didn't count, because they were penalties.
Keep going.
Anyway, Caleb has the tools. But does he have the talent? You can't blame the kid. You can't.
He's so down on the Bears.
You can't blame the kid, all right? It's his rookie year and expectations are through the roof. He needs some help, and
Can't blame the
thankfully...
kid. There's only one guy in this room blaming the kid.
Can't get
He's
through a preview, can
he's
I?
cut you off
What am I
again,
supposed to do
Hawley.
here?
The host is just
What's the
jumping
point
all
of
over
me?
All right,
you.
What
hands
is
off. I'll leave it.
What's the point of me being here tonight? He needs some help, and thankfully, that's what Chicago have given him, okay? This defense are very good. They're going to put him in some good spots this year. He's got a really good offense. There will be times where we see the Caleb that's promised to us. CJ, however, expectations are high, and they are warranted. They can't drop this game. Last week was a real fight against a QB he threw at a 45% completion rate. Probably expect similar from Caleb this week. The defense needs to shape up because the Bears lineup should be and are capable of scoring quickly. If Caleb gets it rolling, they can point. We expect them to be able to put points on the board. So with the way that the Bears defense played, we need to make sure that CJ doesn't have turnovers. He plays a tidy game and they walk out of this game with, a solid win, because the Texans can't afford to drop one to the Bears this early in the season. And I think the Texans will win, even though I've tipped them to go 1-3 and they've already won a game.
I think that's out the window. Dos?
Oh, it's not out the window.
Yeah, this intrigues me because the Bears offense, we didn't see a lot, and Tennessee basically gave them the game last week. So it'll be, this one, I'm really keen to see the Bears actually score and put some points on the board.
Yep.
Or is it a case of actually the Bears offense, even with all these new pieces, still need time to gel?
If they play like they played last week,
They'll
then,
get smashed.
Yeah, you can't rely on a defense having, what they have, two Ds, a punt. I think a blocked punt.
One pick six and a block punt return.
Blocked punts,
And a partridge in a pear tree.
So they carried that offense last week, and you can't expect that every week. And I don't think.
But you've also got to allow some time for literally a brand new.
Absolutely.
Chemistry,
and we're saying that if they play like they did last week, then it could get a little bit ugly if the Texans play how we expect them to play.
And that was my point on new offensive coordinator, new starting quarterback, new wide receiver, new running back. And so there's a lot of new pieces on the offense that haven't had, preseason, barely played in training camp, fine. But it takes time to build that throughout the course of the season as well.
One of Caleb's main strengths is to scramble, create plays like we see Paddy doing. And we saw against Tennessee, he tried to scramble a couple of times and get out of sacks, and they ended up with big losses because these offensive linemen these powerful boys. They're fast, they're big, they're strong. He wouldn't have come up against these kind of players in the college system. So it'll take him time to get used to that, work out where where and how he can scramble.
Yep.
When's a good time just to take a sack or throw it away, rather than in college. He's not taking sacks or throwing the ball away. He's doing what he can to create plays.
All right. Dos, you got the Bengals at Arrowhead playing the Chiefs. Bengals 0-1, Chiefs 1-0. Bengals, any chance to bounce back here?
I'm not seeing Burrowhead.
No.
Burrowhead.
I'm not seeing Burrowhead this week.
Interesting.
Chiefs home again. They get the big rest after playing on the Thursday night. 5 straight games now. Jamar Chase, no touchdowns as well.
Maybe he would consider practicing.
Yeah, well, T. Higgins, don't know if he'll miss again with a hamstring, but watching how bad that offense was against the Patriots, coming up against a better defense with the Chiefs on the road, I just can't see how the Bengals right now how they win this game. Yeah, that's just simple. And the Chiefs offense, I'm actually excited to watch the Chiefs now.
Yeah.
Last year I wasn't. Last year was sort of
It was one-dimensional.
Yeah, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs
But
games
it worked last year.
They weren't dynamic, high scoring. I think there was one, Curt, against, was it the Bears or the Chargers by memory, where a couple games where they put up a lot of points in the first half and a lot of yards, and then
But it wasn't
It was...
No, it wasn't
Bam, Bam,
Mahomes.
thank you, Bam.
It wasn't
Bam.
Mahomes putting up 400 yards and 4 touchdowns.
We kind of expected them to throw it to Kelsey. If not, they'll run the ball, maybe find a couple of receivers here and there. But now we've got Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice. Obviously, Trav didn't have his best game. We've got it.
Mahomes started showing a boring maturity. It was really disappointing.
Is that stand in the pocket and just throw to guys?
Yeah, they just minimised the turnovers and did what they had to do on offense last season. So I'm actually a bit more excited to watch the Chiefs. I think they'll win this game by more than a touchdown.
Rams and Cardinals both lost week 1. Hawley, NFC West. What have you got?
The Rams, Cooper Kupp, he looked really, really good. Kyron Williams started slow. He got going. Stafford looked really good at times. And who knows, boys? Who knows? This Rams outfit could be anything this year. I think we said pre-season we weren't sure how to judge them because, a couple of years ago they did lose a lot of players. Last year they surprised us. And this year, if they continue on that, little upward rise, then we're looking at a playoff team. The Cards, they look better than last year. They put up 28 points against the Bills Mafia. The only problem was Josh Allen brought his A game. The Cards' offense is good, but it's not good enough that its defense can allow us 30-plus points every week. And that's what we're probably a little bit worried about seeing this week. If Puka was to get up, it's Thursday now, so we might have a little bit more of an idea if he's going to play or not. But if Kupp gets going, Kyron Williams gets going, Stafford gets going, they could put some serious points up against his Arizona defense. So it'll be a tough one for the Cards. I think if they stick it out and they play turnover-free football, then they're a huge chance. But the way, or what I saw from the Rams last week, I think it's the Rams to lose.
Oh, I think they're certainly favourite.
Yeah.
I don't know whether, they didn't get blown out of the water by the Bills, the Cards. So
No, that's what I'm saying. That it's just their defense. It's a bit of a
patchwork operation.
Yeah, they have to really play well on offense to keep up with the defense at the moment.
Yeah, we'll revisit them on Gutsy Calls. I'm looking at the Chargers and the Panthers, and look, there's really not much here to say other than, again, take note of the game I allocated myself. So please don't complain about me giving myself blockbusters.
I don't think I've ever complained.
I was looking at Dos.
Oh, me? I'm just waiting for that mid-season Thursday night schedule to roll through.
Enjoy it while it lasts, Dos.
That's
This
it.
won't last forever. Panthers, broken record. Need to show something with Young in the offense. Otherwise, it's going to be a disaster. And the Chargers, they showed a bit more on offense last week than we perhaps thought they would. What does it look like against a team which they can really beat up on? Can they dominate? Can Herbert have a big statistical game like he was at the start of his career? That's all I want to see. Steelers 1-0, Broncos 0-1. Dos in Denver.
Oh, yeah. This game is... now the
Sneaky
Steelers...
spicy, isn't it?
Well, the Steelers got the question. Do you bring Russ in?
Is he going to be fit?
Well, still got the
It depends
dealing
what
with the
style
calf, or do you start
It depends
Fieldsy
what they
again?
want to play. Do they want someone that will sit in the pocket and throw, or do they want a dual threat? Because they're two complete different styles of football.
Yeah, and what we got was exactly what we thought we would get with the Arthur Smith offense. Run the ball down the throat of the opposition. They ran it 41 times against the Falcons, and Fields only threw it 23 times. So, yeah, on the Steelers on the road again, and I'm thinking that the Broncos came up against a good Seattle defense, but they're now coming up against probably, I think, if it's not the best, it's top 3 defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are all at this stage healthy and looking really good.
TJ's scary, and he
Yeah.
looks scared. Like, he looks fired up and excited.
Oh, yeah. We saw the impact he had last week. I'm not sure the Denver O-line are going to be able to contain TJ Watt and that crew. And Bo Nix last time out, he was held to 3.3 yards per attempt. And that was against Mike McDonald's Seattle defense. So I think he might be running for his life this week, Bo Nix, and I'm picking the Steelers to win this one, Curt.
Good luck, Bo. Browns and Jags both winless after week 1, Hawley, in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
I don't know what to expect from this.
I haven't got a lot. I said Deshaun, mate. Just show us something.
This in Jacksonville?
We talk about Deshaun Watson the same way we talk about Bryce Young
Yeah,
now.
we do. Just give
Yeah, it's in
the
Jacksonville.
Jags, Browns community some sort of hope. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure who needs to win this one more. Trevor and the Jags are just as desperate to have a winning season, and the Browns and Deshaun are just desperate to win a game. So this one it's pretty important for both.
It's really big. It's a really big early game.
It's probably a little more important for Deshaun just to take some heat off of him. I think Trevor. Do we give Trevor a lot of heat? Not as
we
much
don't give
as
him
Deshaun.
much.
I think he flies under the radar a little bit because he's been okay.
Yeah.
Whereas Deshaun is getting paid this.
He's been solid.
Deshaun's getting paid. He's been solid. He has. Deshaun's getting paid this huge bag of money, and at the moment, it's not looking good.
It's not looking good. All right. I think.
Well, Trevor Lawrence is as well. It's just not all guaranteed like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and Trevor
is.
hasn't had the off-field stuff that Deshaun has had. That makes him a target for
And they
obvious
didn't
reasons.
give up. They didn't give up everything they've got to get Trevor Lawrence either.
All right, Saints and Cowboys.
Ooh,
Yeah, both won.
bit of spice in this one.
Yeah, interesting. Obviously, we know that the Saints beat up on the Carolina Panthers, and we know that the Cowboys beat up on the Cleveland Browns, who were uncharacteristically poor on defense last week. So it's a different challenge now for Derek Carr and co. It's one thing beating up on Carolina, but you can only beat what's in front of you. Now, Derek and the New Orleans offense and the O-line and everything else that goes along with it, Alvin Kamara, can you do something against guys like Lawrence, Parsons, Diggs, Kendricks, who are all on fire? They produced 6 sacks, 2 interceptions last week.
It is kind of scary, isn't
It is very scary. It doesn't fill me with confidence. So he's going to be under a lot of pressure, and I just want to see how Derek Carr responds to that this week and whether they can play with the strut and the swagger that they did last week. 2 games to go. Dos, you've got the Bucs and the Lions. Now, this all of a sudden is a huge game.
Well, it was. I mean, divisional replay from last season, and we get it back in Detroit again. And the Bucs took it to the Lions in that playoff game. So the Bucs will have no fear going to Ford Field. Baker certainly won't, and he'll be full of confidence. Week 1 demolished the Washington defense, completed 80% of his passes. 289 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Mike Evans in that playoff game last year had 8 receptions for 140 yards against that Detroit secondary. Now, I know it's a little better, but it's still Terry Arnold, who was only playing in it'll be his second start, and Carlton Davis, who wasn't all that great last week against the Rams. And Cooper Kupp had a pretty handy game, and a few of the other Rams wide receivers also young receivers were able to get away. So Evans and Godwin, look for Mike Evans to have a big game in this one. I think he could take off. And the Tampa run game that struggled versus the Lions last year, and we saw the Rams run game last week with Kyron Williams was pretty meager. Like, they couldn't get much going. So I expect a lot of yards through the air, and it's going to be a high-scoring one. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is probably the game I'm actually looking forward to watching the most.
Who would have thought
a
few years ago that Tampa Bay and Detroit
game
would be the glamour game we're all clambering to watch?
Just on Detroit, if they'd lost to the Rams last week, he's under pressure.
Dan.
He would have been under pressure if they start 0-1.
Good thing he didn't. Just like the CJ Stroud picks that don't exist.
I was watching it, and all I wanted was a sneaky loss to start Detroit season.
Lines by 5 points. Okay.
5.
All right. Should we go back and give a tip for all the games that we haven't given a tip for, Hawley?
No, I just like to throw it in at the end.
every now and then.
Raiders and Ravens is the last one to preview.
It'll be quick.
Both 0-1 go.
Baltimore, I believe, will win this.
Okay.
And I believe they'll win quite easily. I think the only way Lamar and Derek don't have 100 yards each is if they get benched in the last quarter.
Love it. I like to end on a quick one sometimes, Dos.
All our Ravens fans and Raiders fans are just like,
Well-
come on, guys.
Yeah, sorry.
Well,
You win some, you lose some.
I said at the start of the year, I didn't mind the Raiders. I think they'll surprise a few teams, but the weekend kind of disappointed me a bit.
You're flat against that loss to the Chargers, weren't you?
I'm a bit disappointed.
All right, well, speaking of disappointment, let's go through our gutsy calls very quickly because I normally wouldn't do it again this early. We only named them last week, but there were a few developments over the
updates.
weekend. Now, our overall ones, I just need to point out that my first one was Justin Fields being the starting QB at Pittsburgh by week 4. He started in week
You
1.
got it.
I know it's by injury, but however...
Wasn't through 4.
We needed next time you announce a QB will be the starter, we have to announce it whether or not it will be he earned it or it was through injury.
Well, it's still not successful because there was a second part to it, and he has to end the season as a top 10 quarterback, which I'm sure we'll debate. It wasn't a top 10 performance in the weekend, but at least he's ticked the first
Solid,
bit.
though.
Lad McConkey, 1,200 plus yards, Dos. What did he get? 40 odd?
30
odd?
something.
Yeah, 40 odd and a touchdown, I think. Let me have a
Bajan,
look.
2,300 scrimmage yards for you, Hawley.
Yeah, he's 111. He's
Yeah. George Pickens, top 3 receiving yards in the league. He got 90 odd. That's not too bad. Dos, remember you got your Washington 3-pronger of Daniels, 3,500 plus. McLaurin, 1,200 plus. He had 17.
Looking good.
And Washington, a winning record. They're 0-1.
I don't mind Daniels. I think he'll be close.
I had the commentary one, which no further developments yet on Greg Olson's contract.
What do you think of Brady's?
I didn't hear much of it. Haven't heard
All right,
good reports though.
But that was always going to happen.
Yeah.
People were always going to bag it just 'cause they don't
chop
like it.
in. I thought he was all right.
Miami breaking the record for the most rushing touchdowns. They had 1, so they got 37 to go in the next 16 games. Green Bay to be the last undefeated team, Dos. They were the second
Yeah.
defeated. That hurt.
Well,
That's why they're gutsy.
You're only 30 teams off.
should have won.
And Hawley, Carolina to make playoffs. That was your overall.
Oh,
ridiculous.
wow. Why did I say that?
I don't know. I still
Jeez.
don't know why you said that.
Yeah, that was real.
And then you said Carolina
That was
4-0 in
4-0.
September, and they're 0-1, and they were pathetic. So that one's literally red. I've crossed it out. So we won't talk about that anymore. DOS for the September ones, you had Dallas Turner leading rookie sacks with 4.5, and he got 1.
I did.
He got 1 in his first game. So
Excellent.
good start.
Good start.
Good
Right,
start.
DOS.
I said Arizona would be on top of the AFC West after September. They're 0-1.
NFC West.
NFC West, rather. Thank you very much. Hawley, you said CJ Stroud 7 picks in 4 weeks. This is why you were so hung up about those.
Oh, man, he was close. If he had those two,
He was straight on it
I
too
was
when
texting-
Kenny Moore picked him.
He
He was on
was.
it.
Even before they'd reversed it, you'd already messaged us.
yeah, I did. Because he was that close to having. If those two stood, then they lose that game.
That was a 2-pronger as well. You said Houston 1-3. They're already 1-0. Dos, you said JT leading rushing yards. He had 48.
Yeah.
You said Pittman leading top 3 receiving. You
Yeah.
had 31. And then,
He
boys,
could have a big game against the Packers
Yeah, he
this
could-
week.
and then I had the complicated one of the net touchdowns.
Oh, that's
Remember?
right.
The 3
Yeah.
rookies versus
Okay.
3 vets. So it was passes thrown plus touchdowns. Sorry, touchdowns thrown
Yep.
plus touchdowns rushed
Yep.
minus interceptions.
Okay.
That gets you the figure. So I said that in the month of September, Williams, Daniels, and Nix would have a
There's
Greater.
So you're in 0.
greater number than Josh Allen, Prescott, and Burrow. So Williams had 0.
Yep.
Daniels had 2 because he
Yep.
rushed 2. Bo Nix had -1 because he rushed 1, but he threw 2 picks.
He rushed 1.
So they're on
Yep,
1,
yep.
and the veterans are on 5 because Allen had 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, Allen
That
knows,
killed
yeah.
me. Where's a Josh Allen pick when I need it? Prescott
He'll have 7 this week.
1 and Burrow 0. So it's 5-1. I'm down 5-1 after 1 week.
It can change.
It
real
can turn.
quick. Josh
It can
can
turn.
end up with a 1-4 game.
Oh, I hope
Please,
not.
Josh. None of the rookies threw a touchdown.
No,
Not
they
one of them.
ran. Yeah, they all ran him in.
Yep. You get that from rookies, don't you?
Yeah,
Petrified to
scramble.
throw the ball.
Scrambling.
Underdeveloped skills.
lack of talent.
Good legs. Anyway, that's the Gutsy Calls. That's where we're at the moment. It's not a very edifying segment, but I just thought we'd be honest. We'll be back in a sec. Gosh, you're the clubhouse leader in Gutsy Calls. You're the clubhouse leader in win totals. And that's why you get a segment like this. It's called Doss's Dimes, and you're going to tell us whatever's on your mind. So go for it, Doss.
Well, this is.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, I forgot.
I don't need this. We don't need this. I'm not happy.
Ah, here we go.
I'm not happy.
happy.
That's because I was sitting in a damn swimming pool, splashing around for the last 40 minutes, splashing my hands, hokey pokey. I'm not happy. One question for you guys.
How about them Packers? I will talk NFL with anyone,
who are the
anywhere.
Jets?
I'm not happy.
Jaden Reed at pick 50. Terrible reach. Like my height.
I'm not happy.
Gastro is horrendous. You just feel empty.
No good.
Not
Listen
it.
to this. This is just...
I'm not happy.
Pick
No.
6 makes me sick.
This is not good.
I'm not happy.
Disgrace. Pay attention. Are you kidding me?
Overra-
Eye test. Impact. 3 minutes for Doss's dime.
No.
I'm not happy.
That's brilliant. It is
You
brilliant.
can't.
Long intro.
Yeah, that's a long one. That's longer
I'd
than
rather
all these
listen to
heroes.
that again than Doss's dimes.
What are you gonna say?
No offense, Doss.
You got to be careful. You're taking a sip of water during that, and you've almost
I almost
spat it
spat
up.
it on the roadcaster.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something when the swimming pool little anecdote popped up?
Yeah, I can't remember what game that was.
It was a
Packers
Packers.
game.
Maybe it wasn't the divisional, was it?
No, it wasn't Packers Cowboys.
But it was a big win
I was
and
at
you
the
missed it.
dentist for that.
That's
Just
right.
stop planning
That's
stuff.
right. He missed the first half.
Well, I
the
didn't
dentist appointment.
Yeah.
All right, Doss. So what's on Doss's
Give
dime?
us a
What's on your
dime.
mind? Tell us.
Look, I was sort of thinking about this one, and
Oh, that's good.
I was saying, yeah,
Worried if you weren't.
no, but this requires not just me talking the whole time, but you. So I'm going to give you 6 options here,
Oh.
and you might come up with another one.
This is a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, a little bit. So
It's Goosebumps.
the most
Doss's version of Goosebumps.
most disappointed week 1 fans.
Oh,
Is it
Arizona with Marvin.
myself with Green Bay with the Jordan Love injury?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the Falcons losing to Arthur Smith, the Steelers not scoring a touchdown, still winning, and Cousins looking bad? Is it Deshaun Watson and the Browns, and Watson playing just about the worst game of his career? The Bengals scoring 10 points at home versus the Patriots, who are expected to win 4 games this season. The Giants having Sam Darnold put 28 points on you, Danny Dimes 2 picks, and watching Saquon have 130 and 3 touchdowns. Or Carolina having 47 put on you by probably
It's
the
Carolina,
worst.
Doss. It's
What we
Carolina.
expect to be one of the most boring offenses in the New Orleans Saints in week 1.
It has to be Carolina. They have
You think?
the number 1 pick. This is the year that they needed. They needed to see something at the start of this year. Like preseason, we saw he had a good drive in that game, and we thought, okay, Bryce might have matured a bit here. But old little 5'10" Bryce Young was horrendous. Carolina's defense were terrible. There is
Yeah.
not a lot of upside at the
but
moment.
we expect that though. Like if
I
we're,
don't
I
expect
don't think we
Carolina to be
expected-
good, though.
I don't think
Yeah,
we
if-
expected them to be that bad.
but if we're talking most disappointed, at least you go in with your expectations
Okay.
low with Carolina. You do that with the
Okay.
Giants, the Falcons. Yeah, but they weren't awful. Green Bay, yes, injury hurts, but I think it's. I think Browns, Bengals. I think it's the Bengals
So
because
it's more
they-
about disappointed, not what you're worried about.
No, that was the question, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
disappointed
Yeah,
fan
okay.
base.
I
I mean,
probably
it's got to
read
be
it
the
incorrectly.
Bengals.
It's the Bengals.
like,
then.
after
They're at
week
home
1,
to the
Yeah.
Pats, who
That's
have
the most disappointed.
everyone's
Yeah.
speaking about them like they're a laughing stock all
Worst
preseason.
O-line,
And
Jacoby
this has
Brissett.
happened before last year where they wrote off the start of the season as, oh, it's just an aberration. We won't do that again. Well, they have done it again. It's another terrible start, and there's no excuse this time because Joe Burrow has been fit the whole offseason.
Yeah.
So it's got to be the Bengals.
Atlanta would be pretty close. Like we mentioned last week's episode that they've got all their tools now. Kirk was the last guy, and they went and put up 10 points, albeit against a Pittsburgh defense. That is a very good defense. So
Yeah.
you can give them a little bit of slack
It does hurt,
there.
though.
But if I was an Atlanta fan, you're thinking, well, we have to go deep and have a push because we won't get better than this next year unless we really upgrade in some other areas.
And if someone told you, hey, first game with Kirk,
You lost to a Pittsburgh team that
didn't score a
score a
touchdown.
TD.
You
Yeah.
say they won't score a touchdown and Kyle Pitts is going to score. You're like, oh my gosh, all our dreams have come true. And then look at the result. What? We lost 18-10?
And not only that, the
they
coach
didn't
that
score.
the
Kyle
co-
Pitts did. We're back. You lost.
the coach that you ran out of town
Oh, yeah.
has then come
Yeah.
back as the offensive coordinator
Yeah.
and ran the ball down your throat all game.
And who else we
And
got?
it wasn't even Russell Wilson.
No, with a backup quarterback.
Oh my
And
god.
who else? We got Daniel Jones. We probably expected him to be bad, but we're still disappointed. Bryce Young, we are disappointed, but we weren't expecting, I guess, the world.
With the Giants, though, does it hurt with the fact that last year, week 1, you had 40 put on you by the Cowboys at home?
Last year, week 1, Danny Jones put some numbers up.
Nah, they got beaten by...
Yeah, but he still put numbers up.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
But they got beaten like 40-0 or something.
Yeah, he
didn't
put
they?
numbers up week 1, and then after that, it was a capitulation.
I don't even remember him putting numbers. I just remember they getting smashed. And then week 1 this year, Sam Darnold's come in and has just picked you apart, and the defense is meant to be the Giants. You know, they're not meant to be too bad on defense considering the investment that they've made there in the off season. And I don't know. And then seeing Saquon, who you let go in free agency because you didn't want to pay him.
Yeah, that hurt too. Yeah, that hurt.
The 3-prong, Curt. It's a backup quarterback because we expected JJ McCarthy was going to start, really. Sam Darnold probably wasn't going to. Well, maybe he was, but still. I mean, Sam Darnold's almost a journeyman now in the NFL, and he's
found his home.
You know what?
He's come out and looked really good. So
Sam Darnold's not very old, fellas.
He's 26.
He's 26.
Yeah.
Honestly, we need to do a little segment or maybe a daily show where, can you believe that this guy and this guy are the same age?
Great call.
Because I expected Sam Darnold to be 30s and being a journeyman, kind of like, it's Sam, he'll be a backup now forever. But he's 26.
Yep.
Like, Bo Nix is 25 and just got drafted. And we're going to give Bo Nix at least a year to prove himself, and that's 26 next year.
Yep.
So what do you think? I mean,
Bengals.
You going Bengals?
Yep.
Hawley?
I'm happy to go with the Bengals, yes. I think if you lose to the Pats, hey, who knows? The Pats might come out and end up 6-2 after the first 8 weeks. Unlikely, but then the Bengals loss doesn't look as bad. But at the moment, Bengals would be pretty disappointed.
Come on, Dos.
Yeah.
You know who else will be disappointed if we don't finish the show this way? The fans, because they want Joke of the Week.
They want Joke of the Week?
Yep. How long do I need a pad for?
No, week 2. Maybe week 2, Danny Jones put some numbers up, Dos.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it wasn't week 1.
14-0. Then he put up 320 yards, 2 TDs, 59 on the ground, and a touchdown. It was good.
Now, you've got some good feedback, Hawley, on Joke of the Week. Last week,
You guys keep talking.
the Joke of the Week got a lot of good feedback in the DMs.
Wow.
Hawley. So I can't actually remember. I just remember Funguys. That's the one I remember.
All right, we're good?
Yeah, we're good.
Let's do it.
All right, who won the neck decorating contest? No one. It was a tie.
Yeah, I'm paying it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
He's done it.
One from one's always
One
a good
take
night.
wonder.
Yeah,
Well
that's good.
done.
That was a quick one too.
All right, that's the show. Thanks very much, everybody. Always a good way to finish. Don't forget the Daily Show, Outback QB Daily. Don't forget YouTube. These are on YouTube now. Widescreen for your viewing pleasure.
Oh, yeah.
Apologise that my camera cut out for about 2 minutes there, but I'll just leave it on Dos and Hawley there. I look forward to going through all of this and doing those manual camera changes. We'll see you all next week. We've got another big week of NFL football. See you, Dos.
See you later, Curt. Bye, Hawley.
Goodbye, guys. Goodbye, Dos.
Very official.